Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Heroes, episode 514.
Woo.
As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by viable human Chris Saturn.
Hey, Justin.
Hi, Saturn. What's it like to not be an old bastard anymore?
I don't know because I'm still an old bastard. I just don't get called it as often. In fact, I'm an older bastard than I've ever been, to be fair.
Yeah. That's kind of true of everyone all of the time, except for time travelers, although they would still be the same age, so it doesn't even apply to them.
You know, it's kind of funny because if I remember right, you stopped calling me that shortly before my dad died, so I am more old and more of a bastard than I was before when we were going with that.
This is all true.
Yeah.
I think what it was is I started to feel old. And I was like, well, I can't call him old because I'm older than he was when we started calling him that.
Right.
So I either have to be like, welcome to the show, I'm an old bastard, and here's another old bastard, or I need to call him something else.
Yeah, here's senior old bastard.
I had to explain to my wife earlier, our daughter was saying something about her being old, and she's like, I'm not old. And I was like, she's 9. You are old to her. I said something about, I think I was talking about Guy, and I was like, yeah, he's in his 40s, and here in a few years, he's going to be going into his 50s. And she was like, I don't want to imagine that our friends have the 50s on their horizon. And I was like, I got news for you about us in our 40s.
Right. Yeah.
They're not as far away as they seem.
Yeah, my older sister is 50 now, and my brother is 47? Yeah, 47. So yeah, I'm like, my generation is already hitting 50. I'm feeling it.
It's rough, man.
Yeah.
Age. It's just a number, and a number that defines you.
For people who listen to the Uncut, we just had an odd transition from diarrhea shit to old age
into existential dread. My week. I'm gonna talk about my week. Forget all that shit. I'm
trying to forget all that shit.
I've been doing Game Boy stuff still.
Yeah.
I have bought a little bit of equipment, and I have a little bit of a soldering station, and I've been perfecting my battery soldering skills.
Which is really neat. I'm excited by all this.
I feel like I'm getting pretty good at the soldering. Turns out that using flux does make a gigantic difference.
My hands just shake too much.
I have shaky hands too.
Mm-hmm.
What helped me is miniature painting.
Yeah, I can't do that either.
I couldn't either, but what you learn is different stabilization techniques using your pinky. It sounds crazy, but like if you stabilize your pinky on a surface or on your other hand or something, it stops your hand from shaking. Mine anyway, but I learned it when I started painting minis, and everybody's like, yeah, your hands are shaky, but if you stabilize your pinky on something, then, and so I think I've just built the habit of how to stabilize my hands together working on tiny things. So that helped. I got to come into it with that.
I should just build like an Arduino robot that just holds my hand for me to keep it stable. But at that point, I might as well just make the robot solder the stuff.
I also never hold the thing I'm working on ever.
Oh, yeah. I don't either. I keep it on
like when I'm painting minis, they're in a little grippy thing. Right. And then I bought one of those little helping hands with a magnifier for my soldering. So I've been getting better at soldering. I want to be able to replace Game Boy and other cartridge-based stuff.
Nice.
I think I'm at the point where I would be. I've done a little bit of other soldering. I swapped out I redid a screen mod on a GBA that was 3 solder points.
Nice.
And I also swapped out a shoulder button between 2 GBA motherboards because one of them was clicky and one of them wasn't.
Yeah.
And so just, minor soldering joints I'm okay with. I think I've reached a point where like I feel pretty confident in just basic soldering points. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do anything too tiny or too complex, but like if it's like those kind of mods where it's like, yeah, you got to solder 2 wires, I feel totally confident in that. I've also been selling stuff on eBay.
What stuff?
For people not on the Discord, Saturn, you've gotten rid of effectively pretty much all of your Game Boy stuff.
Yeah.
You're having me
all the games
sell
anyway.
Yeah, you're having me sell it for you on in our Discord. So if anybody wants some complete inbox Game Boy Advance games, I got some for sale. I'd very much like to avoid.
May not be a lot of time left by the time you hear this, so
right. And so I've been doing a lot of eBaying of your stuff and cataloging and taking pictures and sharing and selling and stuff. And it's been really cool going through a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff is things I'd otherwise never be able to get my hands on, like 50 plus complete inbox GBA games. And so it's cool to get to go through it. It's also cool to get to take pictures and catalog a lot of it. Every cart gets opened and cleaned and batteries replaced if they need it. So it's cool to also get to work on kind of my cartridge restoration and soldering skills.
There's
it's cool to see
also
all the
a
different-
lot of old manuals and stuff.
Yeah, lots of old manuals
play
I'm
with.
going through and things. Just really cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. It ended up being over 108
Oof.
items, not counting e-reader cards, which
Yeah.
are probably 7 or 8 items on their own. So it's a good amount of things that I'm just kind of selling slowly. Right now, we're going through the complete inbox Game Boy Color games. Those are up on the eBay.
Yeah.
What I've learned about myself is because I've also at the same time sold my brother's Pokemon cards for him on eBay.
Right.
Because he had a first edition Charizard and then like a big first edition collection that he wanted to sell. Or not first
Right.
edition, it was base set. Not first edition base set, but base set Charizard.
I
and
don't know what the
Pokemon
difference
cards.
that is, so I'm just gonna.
The
nod
first
along.
edition is the first print run, and they say
Okay.
first edition. And then all the later print runs of that set don't say first edition.
I see.
What I've learned is I really like selling stuff online, dealing with collectors, talking to other collectors, making deals, getting go through cool collectibles.
Mhm.
I don't know if like if I ever re-enter the workforce, I don't know if it's a career or something, but I enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I take my percentage and I get to like handle some cool collectibles and get them into the hands of people that are excited to have them, which is really cool to me.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just like I've had plenty of fun eBay conversations, just talking to other collectors, people that have bought stuff from me that are looking at buying stuff. Of course, there's the usual glut of just kind of annoying eBay shit.
Yep. That's the part that I
but
was afraid of.
It's just nice to connect with other collectors and get to talk to people that are excited about these things, excited to have these games, and in a lot of cases, just empty boxes because you kept all of your GBA boxes.
I did, yeah.
And I bought a lot of your GBA games.
Mhm.
And then left the boxes.
Yeah.
And so
Which,
it's just
I'll be honest,
cool.
it kind of hurts me a little bit to have them separated like that. But as long as the boxes go to a good home, that's fine.
I mean, the people that got them, I shipped out a Fire Emblem box, just the box and the manual and the insert, because I bought the game from you.
Yeah.
And the person messaged me today, and they're like, "Thank you so much. I'm so excited. This is so great." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm glad it's bringing you joy.
Right. That's where I'm at this point, because I had bought all this stuff not because I wanted to form some grand collection or whatever. It was because I wanted to play the games. And now I've reached the point with Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. I'm just going to play it on an emulator anyway because it's more comfortable to me. It's got more quality of life features, all that. So there's no reason for me to keep these Game Boy games at this point. So I'm happy to see them going to somebody who's going to enjoy them. That's all I really want out of this. I just
It's
want
funny,
them to be loved.
I was over at your house for research for this show or your apartment, and we were there, and I was kind of shocked you were wanting to downsize. I mean, I think it's a long time coming. I think it's good. I think it's a good thing for you to be doing. I think your collection is enormous. It's the biggest I've ever personally seen in person.
It's not the biggest I've seen.
Well, it is the biggest I've seen in person anyway. It's very expansive and very large, but I was over there and I remember I was talking to you. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of shocked you want to downsize. Like, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing for you. I think it's, and then you said, well, Switch 2 is coming. And I looked around and I realized I was like,
I've run out of room.
He doesn't physically have anywhere to put Switch 2 shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's full.
It's become a problem.
Shitter's full, floor to ceiling. Yeah. It's full. And so I think it's a good thing, especially letting go of stuff that like, you don't play Game Boy games.
Yeah.
You just don't, like you said. I mean, you're not going to. And the times you do, you don't play them on a Game Boy. You've never been a handheld person.
No, I've not. And the few Game Boy games that I do still have a lot of attachment to, I'm going to play somewhere else. I'm going to play them on an emulator. Yeah. I would have played them on a Super Game Boy or something. So it just makes more sense at this point. Now that I have a flash cart that can play Super Game Boy games properly without me having to plug a cartridge into another thing that doesn't even work anymore, I'm pretty stoked by it.
But that's been eating up a lot of my hours is just dealing with eBay stuff. A lot of it, honestly, most of my time is cleaning, repairing, and taking pictures of all of it. So much to take pictures of, because like you sell a cartridge on eBay, you take a picture of the front, the PCB in the back, cool, 3 pictures, you're done. A complete in-box game, you want the PCB, you want the cartridge front and back, PCB front and back if it's a high-end game, you want multiple pictures of the box front and back, manual front and back, inserts front and back, and it ends up being like 10, 15 pictures per game.
I've been very impressed
so
with
just-
the pictures that you've been taking, because I know that if I had sold it, I just would have taken a picture of the outsides of the box and then a
Yeah.
picture of the cart and maybe the PCB and been like, whatever, it's good now. They'll figure it out. And I've
wanna-
seen that you're like zooming in on any of the slight imperfections on them. Like, I would not have even noticed that was there. I would have had no
What I
idea.
want is for someone to get it in the mail and be like, oh, this looks better than I thought it would in person.
Right.
Because when I'm zoomed in, all the imperfections look humongous. You know,
Right,
and then you
yeah.
get it and you're like, it's just a tiny little Game Boy box. It's 5 inches by 5 inches. Like
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, it's been cool. It's been fun. I've been enjoying it. And it's cool to see you, you know, letting go of some stuff, downsizing, curating. Let's call it
Right.
curating.
Yeah.
Curating your collection some.
It's something I've
'cause it
been
feels
planning
good.
for years now at this point.
Yeah. As
Um,
someone who has curated in the past,
Yeah.
it does feel good to have
Right.
the space and
and
it's
also
just,
to
I
know
don't
that
know.
stuff is going to homes that's going to enjoy it. That's the important
Yeah,
part for
it's
me.
going to people that are like, so far, a lot of times I sell stuff online and it seems to get bought up by like stores and shit that are going to
Right.
flip it.
Yeah.
I don't know what has changed, but this round, everyone seems to be an individual that is just
Nice.
excited to have the thing, which is really cool.
Excellent.
Like when I sold my second NES and a big batch of just NES games I didn't want, DK Oldies bought it from me on
Yeah.
eBay at auction.
Right.
This time around, that's not the case. So
Nice.
everyone's been just really excited to have the stuff. So it's
Very
been cool. It's been fun. So if anybody's out there wanting some Game Boy Advance games, I got a shitload of Saturns I'm selling. So you know,
Yeah, pop into the
Um,
Discord. We've got a channel for it and everything.
we do have a channel for it. I also finally started Astrobot. I was looking for something to play in
so
between
good.
Game Boy sessions. Man, it's really really good.
And it's super charming on top of just
God damn
being
it.
good, tight gameplay. That's so nice.
My struggle right now. I'm barely like 4 or 5 levels in.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because my daughter took it from me. And now she wants to play it every day.
Nice.
And I'm barely started in the game. I know there's a bunch of content. I'm
Yeah.
like 5% in, and I'm already struggling with myself to not be like, this might be the greatest platformer ever made. Like I'm instantly, and maybe it'll wear thin by the end. Maybe there'll be stuff later that I don't like or I'll be upset by, but just first impressions, incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible game.
I would say, for me anyway, it didn't overstay its welcome. If anything, I feel like it dropped at exactly the right point where
Yeah.
it was just concise enough that I got to enjoy it the entire time. And I
Yeah.
was very happy with it.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And playing through that. But yeah, what have you been doing, Saturn?
So Silent Hill 2 came out on GOG today as we're recording this.
Yeah, but you've already
right
played
at
it so many
midnight.
times. You don't need to play it again, do
So
you?
of course I bought it again and started playing it again. But now I've got a fancy new computer to play it on, so I got to play it at full speed, like it's actually playing at a consistent high frame rate, and it's so neat.
Ooh.
And since I was playing it on my new machine, I was like, well, the last time I played it in a tiny window so that I could have Discord open and talk with people while I was playing it. Well, I've got 3 monitors here. Why don't I just plug a second computer into this other monitor so that I can have Discord running there and have my game full screen HDR 160 hertz on here? And it's very nice. I mean, I still can't tell that it's above 60 frames per second. It looks the exact same to me. But
Mhm.
I'm able to play it in 4K at epic settings, and it looks great. It looks so
Yeah.
nice. So nice. I did learn that the GOG version cannot support the GOG overlay while you're playing.
Oh, how weird.
So you can't get the achievement pop-ups. You can't pull up the overlay to see friends or any of that. There's something with Unreal Engine 5 games that does not work with GOG's overlay. And so they
Unreal
just
Engine
have
5
it.
is just kind of a shit show
Oh,
in
yeah.
general, it
Yeah,
seems.
they just have it hard disabled on all those games where you can't even turn it on if you want to.
Yeah.
Because apparently some game that came out last year with Unreal Engine 5 just kept crashing every time that a notification would pop up about an achievement or a friend being online or whatever. It would just kill
Mhm.
the game. So GOG just hard turned that off. So other than that, it is the same as the Steam version. So I tried to grab my Steam save file and see if I could real quickly just pop all the achievements at once.
Yeah.
And that didn't work. It thought that I was not in New Game Plus yet, so it still was treating me like I was in New Game, but I had all the New Game Plus items. So I go straight to the dog ending because that's the correct ending of the game.
Right, yeah, the canonical one.
Yeah. So I run to the dog ending room and I use the dog key to go into the room and it lets me into the room, but it doesn't play the ending. So I'm just standing in this room you're not supposed to be in the game. And so like
nothing's happening.
Yeah, and so I could see all the creases in the walls where they didn't bother to fully model the room because the camera would never point that way. And I'm like,
yeah.
Well, now what do I do? So I just leave and go and get one of the normal boring endings after having walked into the dog room. Like, this is the weirdest fucking game ever. But no, it's good. It's still good, and it's DRM free now. And like I was saying last episode, I am a big fan of Japanese developers making DRM free games, and I want to endorse it. And so I was willing to throw them the money while it's still on sale. Also, everybody in the chat was suddenly talking about Clair Obscure Expedition 33 when it came
out of fucking nowhere for me. I'd seen it. I'd seen it on the Steam page along with everything else, and all of a sudden it came out. And the gaming press was overwhelmed with Clair Obscure praise stuff. I was like, I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, I think I saw a trailer for it at one of the shows, either a PlayStation event or an Xbox event or something, and it just kind of went in one ear out the other. I didn't know what it was and kind of barely noticed it. And I was just going to ignore it when everybody was talking about it. Then somebody said it was a turn-based RPG. I was like, oh, yeah. Well, I guess I got to at least try it. It's on Game Pass. It's free. And it's really good. It's just very, very good. It is a turn-based, I want to say JRPG, but it's not because it's made in France. But it's a bunch of former Ubisoft people, I believe, who left Ubisoft, formed an indie studio, presumably because they were tired of Ubisoft shit. And very, very, very good. It's got a melancholy vibe that kind of gives me some Nier feels to it. Excellent story, excellent voice acting. They do jump back and forth between English and French every now and then, which has allowed me to relearn all of the French profanities I learned in high school, which that's always fun. I appreciate foreign profanities. I'll take more of that. The way that it works, it's a turn-based combat where it shows you the order of turns, like a lot of them are doing these days, and I always like that. And each character has their own gimmick. Like the first character you get has this overcharge ability where the various abilities he uses charges up a charge gauge, and once it's fully charged up, you use overcharge and it does a lot of damage. The second person is your mage, and they have the elemental wheel where each spell they cast adds a little elemental stain to the wheel, and then casting another element will absorb that stain to enhance itself in some way. And then each different character has a different gimmick like this, which is just really neat. I like that. It gives the combat a little more flavor and keeps you engaged. The only criticism I have of it so far is there's no in-game map at all.
Oh.
And I get lost real easily in 3D navigation. Like normally I just stare at the mini-map 100% of the time when I play a game. And so I don't notice any of the nice, pretty scenery or anything because I'm staring at the mini-map the whole time. And it made me realize that apparently I can only play top-down games because now that I am playing a proper 3D game with no mini-map, I have no idea where the fuck I am at any time. And I just keep ending up going in loops over and over again in linear areas. So that is a challenge for me. So if you get lost easily, good luck. But otherwise, just an excellent game. Just very, very impressed with it.
It's gotten so much praise that I keep thinking about trying it. But when it came out, everyone was so excited. I looked it up and I watched some trailers and stuff. And this is just a totally me thing.
Yeah.
It's totally just my personal preference. The vibe and visual aesthetic I find intensely off-putting.
Wow. Yeah, it is. It is pretty bleak.
I don't quite super know what it is. It's just one of those things where it's like, you know, when you see it, and I was like, I cannot. Whatever this vibe is, I don't.
It does occasionally have an award bait vibe to it. That's the part that I'm not really enjoying. But otherwise, it's just very. Most of the vibes are kind of late 19th, early 20th century France meets steampunk meets just bleak.
That's kind of the vibe I got out of the trailer, and that's just sort of the anti-Justin vibe. But I hear it's so good. I don't know.
It is really good. It's on Game Pass. It's on PS Plus.
Yeah.
And I went ahead and bought a copy as well, just because it is an indie game. It's only $50, and it's
Sure.
really, really good. And that's exactly what I keep saying I want more of.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have to buy this.
Put your money where your mouth is. Yeah.
It's by law, I'm required to buy this now. I haven't gotten my copy yet, though. I did order it, and apparently it's sold out everywhere. So if you want a physical copy, sorry, they're gone.
Good luck. Yeah.
And they're already starting to spike up on eBay too.
Surely they'll do a reprint.
Hopefully, yeah, I'm really hoping they do, because it looks like it deserves it. Also, a few months ago on the show, I was talking about how I had this Samsung tablet, and how I was trying to get the Samsung bullshit off of it and just put a generic like Lineage OS or whatever. And I got through the process far enough of putting the custom bootloader on there and wiping the OS before I realized there isn't a custom OS you can put on this thing, that no one has been able to make it work. So I just have this wiped Samsung that I'm too lazy to put its original stock OS back on.
Yeah.
And so I haven't had my e-reader, and it's been driving me insane because I've been having to read things on my phone like a caveman.
God, like a poor person.
Right. And so when I was looking through Woot the other day, because they had a sale on some stuff, I saw that they had the first generation Surface Go refurbished for like $48.
All right. Yeah.
And
ARM processor.
No, this was Surface Go, not the Surface RT. So this is the Intel
the Go
processor.
was ARM.
No, it's Intel. It's running a Pentium 50 or 47 something.
Boy.
It's not a good processor, but it's a Intel based processor.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, less than $50. Let's see what I can do with this. So I get it, and it's got stock Windows 10 on it. It's not compatible with Windows 11. Can't upgrade to that. So I play with it a little bit on Windows 10, and it runs like trash. This is oh man. It can barely handle Windows 10. And it's got 8 gigs of RAM, but that shitty Pentium in there is just it's struggling, man.
Chugging,
Like even opening up the stock Edge browser that comes with it, it takes forever.
Oof.
And I'm like, well, let's try to throw Linux on there, just see what it is. And I'm like, if I'm gonna just be using this as a e-reader, I don't want something I have to tinker with or upgrade all the time.
Right.
So I'll just throw Fedora on there, see if it can handle it. Runs beautifully, and with GNOME on there, GNOME on a touchscreen works great. Like it is.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's got all these gesture controls and everything. And it auto detected the rotation of the screen. Like it feels like a tablet OS at this point. And
my
everything
wife's got an old
just
Surface. I might.
Oh yeah,
try that out.
Yeah, throw any Linux with GNOME on there. It feels great. And the little dumb GNOME tour that always opens up the first time you launch GNOME will actually show you all of the touchscreen gesture controls. And it's great. Works really well. Very happy with it. I put a shortcut to the Google Play Books website, which is where I have all my books. And I just have it launch Chromium straight to that website, logged in, and it works great. Been very, very happy with it.
Nice. Let's do some news.
Okie dokie.
First up, Atari and Xbox have both announced price increases in response to tariffs. More tariff news.
I hate this.
This is the weirdest fucking two things to have together.
Right?
Atari is raising
and
prices
Xbox.
on Atari 2600 and 7800 games.
Yeah. That's a normal
Also,
thing in
Xbox
2025.
Is raising prices of consoles, games, and accessories. Series S is now $380, $430. Series X, $550, $600, $730. Controllers are now $65, $70, $80, and $90, depending on color and availability. Elite controllers went up from $150, or went up to $150
for the core, and $200
for the
full.
core, and then $200 for the complete. And then games could go up to $80, although we haven't seen that pricing yet.
Yeah.
Nobody is shocked, but we're all just disappointed.
Upset.
Yeah.
Also, the first Xbox game to come out after this was this new Gears of War remaster, which is not 80.
Yep.
I'll give them credit for that. However, it is only getting a physical print on PlayStation 5. It is not getting a physical print on Xbox.
So the best place to collect first-party Microsoft games is a PlayStation.
Yeah.
I think
what happened?
I have the distinct feeling that Sony is going to come out of the tail end of this generation looking like the heroes by virtue of doing nothing.
Right?
Just standing there while everything else burns down and being like, what happened?
I am shocked they have not yet raised prices.
I honestly am too. I think the only reason they aren't is because they're probably just cash rich and can afford to make everyone else look like an ass.
Yeah, I think they're just watching everyone else kick their own ass and enjoying it.
I mean, you give Sony an opportunity to look smug in the face of their competition, they're going to take it.
Yeah, they're going to make a video showing you how to hand a game disc to someone else. They'll do it.
Damn it. Asus and Microsoft have announced a $1,900 RTX 5080 Doom Dark Ages bundle that does not include the game. But a separate $2,000 RTX 5080 Doom Dark Ages bundle does include the game.
Have you looked at what it does include, though?
What does it include?
A t-shirt,
okay.
A mouse mat, and a video card with a sticker on it.
If you spent $1,900 on a video card, I presume you're going to pirate Doom the Dark Ages so that you're out of money.
It does come with a month of free Game Pass PC, so you can play it.
You could play there for 1 month.
Yeah, for 1 month.
Yeah. Leisure Suit Larry is getting delisted on Steam and GOG. The original Leisure Suit Larrys, I think the newer ones or whatever are still going to be available.
All of them through Magna Cum Laude, which was the PS2 Xbox generation one, are all being delisted. But anything since then is staying, I believe.
Yeah. So if you're after Leisure Suit Larry, then grab it while you can. Someone should text Pablo. He loves those games.
I think he already got them all when they went on sale a while back.
Grand Theft Auto 6 got a new trailer and was delayed until next May.
And it has completely filled my news feed since then. That's just all anyone wants to talk about.
It has just been nonstop. All I've heard about is the GTA 6 trailer and Clair Obscura. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I keep seeing pictures where people are showing GTA 6 and they're like, this is being rendered on a stock PS5. And it looks the exact same as the trailers for Red Dead Redemption 2 on stock PS4 to me. Well, so I'm not sure.
I saw that too. None of it looked like gameplay. It did all look in-engine, which cool, but in-engine cutscenes don't usually look as good as the gameplay.
That's the thing I forgot to mention in Clair Obscure. The in-engine cutscenes look worse than gameplay.
What?
I don't know why, but they look worse than gameplay. There's this weird fuzz filter around everything as soon as a cutscene starts, and it makes it look worse. And then the gameplay starts and the fuzz filter goes away, and it all looks much better.
Very weird.
Yeah.
A mistranslation led to the internet thinking that a Chrono Trigger remake was confirmed by Yuji Horii, and this was corrected within an hour or two, but the news still ran with it for about 2-3 days.
Yeah, of course.
So not confirmed. Would be cool, not confirmed. No, it was mistranslation.
And Horii himself in the past has said that it would be cool, but he is not working on it or planning it.
Yeah. An open source Wavebird receiver has been developed called the Wave Phoenix, which is cool. It's a cool thing to see. Wavebirds without their receivers are fucking useless. So it's cool to see someone come up with a fix for that, for all those Wavebirds. You know what I should do is go buy some cheap Wavebirds on eBay now that don't have receivers.
Yeah.
Oh,
and he's made it open source, so anybody can make it themselves. They can make the PCB, they can print it.
It'll be a good soldering project. I could order the PCBs PCB way, and then I could do some soldering practice.
And he said that the new receivers he made are actually wireless, so you can change their channel remotely without having to get up and turn a dial. So
cool.
Yeah.
Nintendo is suing Genki for leaking the Switch 2. This is the news outlet that leaked the Switch 2.
This is the accessory maker who leaked the Switch 2 by showing off their Switch 2 accessories before the platform released.
This was the worst kept secret in the history of gaming anyway.
Right next to the Oblivion remaster.
Yeah, right. Those two together. The Switch 2 has been rumored and leaked since 2016.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what whatever. A new website has sprung up at echothedolphin.com with a timer counting down to next year. They've said that they're going to remake the first Echo. Not super sure why. And then they're going to make a new Echo.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love Echo. I find Echo kind of mid. I'd rather see some other Sega franchises first, but I'm not super upset that Echo's getting a remake. I think it could be cool. You know?
I'm okay with Echo if they go the full Twin Peaks with it. because
just gets super fucking weird.
Yeah, because the game was already pretty fucking weird.
It's weird as I feel like everyone just remembers the first level.
Yeah,
the
the
game
cute
gets
dolphins.
Fucked.
Yeah, it gets weird as shit. If they embrace that and go just like hardcore weird, I'm in. I'd be.
And the
okay
development
with
of the game involves people having sex with dolphins.
that. Yeah. Well, it
Go
doesn't.
listen to our episode on it.
Yeah. It's, just go listen to the episode for
I
clarification.
mean, the developers didn't, but
Yeah,
the
exactly.
researchers, it was a weird
Yeah.
this is sexual dolphin relations. It's a very
Right.
strange story.
It's
It's a very
weird
strange
shit.
game. I don't know. It's cool. There's a lot of Sega stuff I'd rather see before Echo the
Right, yeah.
Dolphin, but I'm not upset that it's Echo. Cool. A lot of people love Echo. Personally, I like Echo Junior better than Vanilla Echo.
I want
I'd rather
Fantasy
see
Star
Echo
5,
Junior.
damn it.
Yeah, that'd be
It's
nice.
been 30
That'd be nice.
years.
I want some Golden Axe. I want Golden Axe love.
They did Golden Axe not that long ago.
Not that long ago? How not that long ago is not that long ago, Saturn?
It was on Steam like 2 years ago.
What? What are you talking about?
It was called Golden Axe, the canceled Golden Axe game.
Oh, no. That was a joke thing that they released with their little joke games they released. That
Yeah.
doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Nah,
A Quebec toy maker has bought GameStop
Quebecois.
Canada. Thank you. Has bought GameStop. Been practicing with your Claire Obscura.
I took
and we'll
French in high school.
And will rebrand to EB Games Canada as it separates from its former parent company, EB Games, back from the grave.
Yep.
Can't stop it. Can't
Granted,
stop, won't stop.
EB Games never left Australia. They're still.
That's
the
true. Yeah,
dominant
they're in
game store
other
there.
territories. Just
Yeah.
it's just nice to see.
Yeah.
Minecraft is ending support for virtual reality and augmented reality. I didn't know that it had it, and now it won't.
Did you not ever see the dumb HoloLens presentation for Minecraft? Where
I feel like I
somebody's
remember seeing it, but I just always thought it was a tech demo. I didn't think it was a thing that they
I
were
think
for
that was a
realsies
tech
doing.
demo, but I think they did do some stuff. They said they're going to
Yeah.
allow the VR mods to continue development. So if people want to mod in their own VR Minecraft world, they can do that, but it's not going to have any official support anymore.
A new Xbox branded ROG Ally 2 images have been leaked online. I'm excited because it has handles. It's got ergonomics on it, Saturn.
It does, yeah.
I'm
The Steam
very
Deck is
excited
more
at the
ergonomic
idea.
than like a Switch.
It is, but so is like a piece of bread or a 2x4. So that's not
Yeah,
saying a
yeah.
ton.
I play a lot of games on my
I-
piece of bread.
I've praised the Steam Deck ergonomics.
Yep.
They're acceptable, but I love the idea of stuff getting real handles so I
Yeah.
can fucking hang on to these 3-pound computers.
Unfortunately, it'll be running Windows 11, so...
Yeah, that's kind of my problem with it.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see SteamOS 3 come out and it'll be compatible. It'd be
Yeah.
cool. Songbird Productions have announced that they acquired the rights to canceled Link's fighting game Ultravore, which means something different in 2025. They will be completing production and releasing the game commercially via crowdfunding. Might think about the name, just throwing it out there.
Well, you never know. Maybe they'll pivot and the completed game will be about Ultravore.
I hope not. Yuji Horii is teaming up with a manga artist to create a new Switch board game.
I'm so excited by this. I am so excited by this.
So we talking like Fortune Street
I
revival
hope so.
here? Like what's going on?
Because Yuji Horii created the original Fortune Street.
Yeah,
And
even
this
if it's a spiritual thing, I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, this is the first new board game he's made since Fortune Street. So bring it on. I want to see what this is.
The FTC has lost its appeal on the Microsoft ActiBliz merger, and Microsoft has officially completed their purchase of the company. I think we all saw it coming.
Oh yeah.
But here it is.
I mean,
said and done.
They had already kind of unofficially purchased them, a year and a half
Right.
ago. So this is
Right.
more just on paper, but yeah.
New Saturn emulator Emir can already boot into commercial games, which is very promising.
Oh yeah.
Saturn emulation is, I would categorize it as pretty good.
A little wonky.
Not fantastic. So the idea of a new contender entering the ring is very cool.
Yeah.
And finally, Valve has issued a C&D to the creators of Counter-Strike Classic Offensive after previously approving the mod 8 years ago. What fucking changed, Valve?
I don't know.
What's the problem?
I'm not
what's the
happy with
problem?
this.
I'm not happy with this either. It's annoying and it's frustrating and it's stupid.
Uh-huh.
And it brings us to our topic at hand.
Does it?
Yeah, it
Frustrating,
does.
stupid things. Speaking
No.
of,
Oh, it's just Pokemon Leaf Green. This is the gameplay episode. We did them backwards. We tricked you all. It was story first.
tricked
because
yourself,
I forgot
didn't you?
And did the note. Yeah, I did. It was an accident. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to. But here we are. Synopsis. We've had one Pokemon, yes. But what about second Pokemon? This is the one in which we talk about Pokemon gameplay, and we hear Saturn's opinion. I'm so interested in your. I mean, I know how you feel about the story we talked about last episode, but for me, the interesting part of these episodes has been your take on the games.
Yeah.
Because meeting someone who grew up playing Nintendo stuff, loves RPGs, and never really sat down with a Pokemon game before.
Yeah.
It's the Venn diagram is two separate circles. Like there's no, you know what I mean?
So technically, I have sat down a few times with Pokemans. Like I tried it way back in the day when my mom was trying to convince me to trade with her. I got a city or two in, which is basically the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I've tried it on emulator several times and never really got very far. And then when the 3DS Virtual Console versions came out, I got a good chunk of the way through Yellow. You looked at my save the other day. It was
I did. I don't remember where you were.
I think you said I was in Fuchsia?
I think you were in Fuchsia. Yeah.
So I was a little ways in.
That's a good chunk. That's a good chunk.
And then I didn't actually finish one until now. So
yeah. Well, let's talk gameplay.
Okay.
Again, this is going to be us kind of going through Pokemon basics that most of us know already.
Most of you people know.
This is a top-down JRPG with vignette-style town events similar to Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're looking to enter a town, fight the gym leader, and move on to the next one, but there are always various roadblocks that will see you getting involved in shenanigans involving Team Rocket, or waking up a sleeping Pokemon with a special flute, or getting a guy's gold teeth, or what have you.
I think it was right after we stopped recording that you had said that it was like we were in Bizarro World in the last episode, where I did not at all care about the story of this game.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting because last episode we just finished recording. And you're like, I just skipped all the because you were like, I don't remember any of this story stuff, and I said, well, almost everything I talked about in the show you had to encounter to finish the game, which you did.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. And I said, well, but it pops up and you're like, yeah, I skipped all the dialogue.
I skimmed most of the dialogue so quickly that I didn't care.
Happening? Fast forward, dialogue skimming, not caring about story. You've been around me too much is what it is. I think we're just hanging out too much.
I was trying to figure out, I was thinking about this since we, minutes ago when we had that conversation. And I think part of it is just that in this game, there's no leading narrative that pushes any of that, because in a normal RPG you get to a town, you solve whatever the problem is in the town, and then someone in the town is like, you should really go over to this other town over here, it's a lot closer to your objective.
The only thing leading you there is that there is a gym badge to get, and that's it.
Yeah, in this game, nobody explicitly ever tells you that you should be getting the gym badges. They're just like, go collect all the Pokemon. That's the goal that you're given. No one tells you, and in order to do so, you should go to each town and collect the gym badges. And I think because I didn't get that, I didn't get that narrative pushing me to each of these places, so I felt like I was just kind of going through rote motions more than I was going through a storyline.
I mean, in some ways, I think you are. The gyms create artificial roadblocks, and we're going to talk about more later, but you have to get gym badges to unlock the ability to use hidden machines outside of battle. So you have to get gym badges just to move forward, because you need to use these HMs in certain areas.
And it feels more like an obstruction than it does like a narrative set piece.
Design-wise, it almost feels more search action-y than RPG design, where RPGs, a lot of the times, they want to compel you forward via the story.
Right.
And there are mechanical things that happen along the way. This feels like you're trying to mechanically progress, and there are mechanical roadblocks that must be overcome by obtaining in air quotes, a new ability.
Yeah, and they color those mechanical roadblocks with some artificial story.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a backward in the realm of the way RPGs are generally designed.
Which is probably why you and I have backward responses to it.
Maybe. You can walk in certain areas, caves, tall grass, to trigger random encounters with random selections of Pokemon based on the area the encounter occurs.
Yeah.
They can be captured with a Pokeball. Weakening makes them easier to catch.
Yeah.
This is where we get into some of the weird kind of, like you were talking about last episode, of the underlying hobby within the hobby.
Yeah.
The catch rate for Pokemon.
That's the part I understood. Like as soon as they showed me math and they're like, this is the exact encounter, I'm like, okay, I got all this. But when they started like going into I don't even know where in the weeds I got lost because I was so far in the weeds. But a lot of the like basic terminology stuff about Pokemon is where I get lost. This stuff, the math, I get this.
I'll be honest, I do too.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing Pokemon since the first one came out. It came out when I was 10 years old. I bought it when I was 10 years old. I played it. The only generation I skipped was GBA, and I'm circling back to it now.
Yeah.
I don't know what an EV or an IV is, and I'm scared to ask at this point. I have no fucking idea. I didn't know. I didn't know what a nature was until this time playing this game, and I've already forgotten what it is.
Yeah, I never used a TM once ever. And
I knew what they were, but I usually saved them because they were single use, and it was like and later on they're multi-use. But yeah,
and the HMs I use only as required by the story, and then I get frustrated because they're using up an ability slot that I should be using for something else.
That. Yep. I guess we could talk HMs. I'm going to jump down because we're already sort of on it. Sorry. So the game does rely heavily on hidden machines. And they're found throughout the game. Their out-of-combat abilities are unlocked with gym badges, and they let you traverse the world in different ways. And this is, again, directly used to gate forward progress, and also used to unlock additional content on areas that you backtrack through. Yeah. Which is very search
also
action-y.
It unlocks some shortcuts as well, which is also search action.
It does, yeah. It's very search action-y.
Yeah.
The first one you get is Cut, which allows you to cut down bushes. You don't get them in the order that they're listed here. I think actually the first one you get is maybe Flash and then Cut.
I think I got Cut first.
Do you get Cut first?
Yeah, I think it was Cut, and then Flash, and then the rest.
I know you don't get them in the order they're numbered, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
But in numerical order, they are Cut, Fly, which lets you fly, Surf, which lets you go on water, Strength, which lets you move boulders, Flash, which you really only use in one section of the entire game.
Cave. Yeah.
And feels stupid.
Yep.
Rock Smash and Waterfall are added in the Sevi Islands. They're required for some of those puzzles.
Yeah, I didn't get to those.
These are from later games. They're from and they're added. They're backported to the Sevi Island areas. I also find HMs restrictive. The games seem to have acknowledged that in later iterations where they find different ways to get around needing HMs constantly or needing so many HMs, because effectively, by the end of the game, you need Cut, Fly, Surf, Strength, and especially if you're in the post-game, Waterfall I've only used once, but Rock Smash is pretty useful, and that is eating up multiple slots on your Pokemon, and it also restricts which Pokemon you can have in your party, because not every Pokemon can learn every HM.
Yeah, on my Pokemon Yellow on 3DS, I just used a Mew to learn all the HMs and just kept him in my party all the time.
I got the Event Mew, the Toys R Us Event Mew in my game via some creative use of Pokemon editing tools. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I had been at Toys R Us in 2005, I could have gotten one for legit, so it counts.
I got my Mew in Pokemon Yellow by using a glitch in the game.
Yeah. So my Mew became my brother my whole life has called them HM slaves. Mew is an HM slave, and so Mew is my HM slave now. But also then that means you have a Mew eating up a whole party slot that is kind of useless because it only knows Cut and Fly and Surf and shit.
Yeah.
So the HMs, I get why they're there. In this first generation, they do feel the most restrictive. You feel like you're kind of locked into your party for a lot of the game.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more frustrating than getting halfway through a dungeon and realizing you need strength to get this item that you're going to miss otherwise, and it could be a TM that you need. And it becomes very frustrating.
Yeah.
Again, this is a thing that later games mitigate in different ways.
Yeah.
But it gets to be a little frustrating here. I think my only real complaint with it is that it kind of makes you stick to a certain party.
Yeah.
And I really like the idea of changing out my party a lot and catching new Pokemon and putting them in my party and taking other people out. And then it becomes a thing where you're like, shit, that's my guy that knows Strength and Rock Smash. So I guess I got to only swap him with someone who can learn those two.
Yeah, you're given 150 possible little monsters to use, but really you're funneled into a handful because of this.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Let's talk trainer battles. This is a big part of Pokemon. Walking through the eye line of NPC trainers initiates a battle with them, after which the winner gets money from the loser. If you lose, you give up money.
I do like that
This
they all
is-
say something dumb first before they fight you.
They do every one of them, and some of them have some really goofy shit
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Battles are. I put the primary way you make money. I think they're the only way to make money.
Yeah, and that was the most frustrating part to me because
So this is what was so bizarre to me. Again, this is Bizarro World with you because you were like, I'm finding the game extremely hard. And I was like, yeah, it can be tough in points. Where are you at?
the beginning.
And
The
you're
beginning
like-
is where it's the hardest.
And you're like, I'm at the first gym.
Yeah.
And I was like, my first thought was like, something's wrong. You've fundamentally misunderstood something to have that much trouble that early on when you picked a water starter. Like, you should be fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I ran out of money.
Very
I was like,
quickly.
Well, what do you need money for? You just go to the Poke Center,
I bought-
heal, and then go to
I
the
bought
gym. and then go-
Pokeballs and I bought potions, and then my money was gone, and then I couldn't get any more money, and then it got to the point where I would try to get through that one little foresty area or
Viridian
something.
Forest?
Yeah, at the beginning, and I was trying to get through there to get to the first area, and I could get like 1 or 2 battles, and I would take just enough damage or get poisoned and be like, oh, I have to turn back because I can't heal the
Yeah.
poison. So I have to turn back, go heal, go back 1 or 2 battles, turn back, go heal, turn back. And I couldn't buy any antidotes because I had no more money because you couldn't get any money at that point because there was nobody else I could fight. And it was just very frustrating.
It's interesting. I'm always the one that soft locks myself in JRPGs.
Yeah.
It's always me. I'm always like, Saturn, I used all my elixirs and
Yeah.
saved before the last boss, and all my guys are at half health. Look, I can't beat the game. And you're like, how did you even fucking do that?
Mhm.
And here I am, like, how do you get stuck in Viridian Forest? Like, holy shit, man.
I had no money. And they wouldn't give me any money.
And you kept saying that, and I was like, what do you need money for? What do you need money for? I
To
don't
buy antidotes so that I could
need-
get through the fucking forest.
I just go back to the Poke Center and heal, and then I go back to the forest, and then if I get poisoned, I go back to the Poke Center and heal, and I go back to the forest, and then eventually I've killed enough things and gotten hurt enough that I'm so high level that I just walk through the fucking
Yeah, I
thing.
ended up being level 15 getting out of there.
I will say, this game is dungeon heavy.
Yeah.
And when I say dungeon, I mean any area with lots of trainers,
Right, yeah.
and potentially all, because there are some dungeons that do not have random battles. It's just
Right.
trainer battles.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dungeons in this game.
Yeah.
It's a very dungeon heavy game. You got the Viridian Forest, you have all the caves, you have all the Team Rocket hideouts. Each gym, many of the gyms are kind of their own little mini dungeon.
Right.
All the legendaries are their own mini dungeons. There's a lot of dungeons in here.
Yeah.
And the game really can stretch you thin at
Oh,
certain
yeah.
points. Because there's like,
I feel like once I got past the first gym or the second gym, like everything became easy. And
Yeah.
probably it was because I just got so grossly over leveled trying to get through those first few areas. But then once I had some money, everything became much easier.
yeah. Well, let's talk battle system.
Okay.
So it feels weird even explaining what this is, but Pokemon games are turn-based battle affairs.
Yeah,
You
very
utilize a
Dragon
team of up to six Pokemon. They can be changed in and out of battle at will. And the battle system relies on type weaknesses. So fire
Kind
beats
of.
grass, grass beats ground. What do you mean, kind of?
I mean, if you have a strong enough Pokemon, it doesn't matter at all. Like
It doesn't.
once I had an Abra, I basically never changed Pokemon again. As soon as he gained his first attack, I was just like, "You're the only Pokemon I need now. You'll just kill everything."
Sure.
And I can. It felt like, you know, that one video online where it's the woman with OCD and she's watching the guy with the pegs and he's like, "Which peg does the square go in?" And
Yeah.
it goes in the square hole. Which peg does the cylinder go in? Oh, it
'Cause
goes
they
in
all
the
fit,
square
yeah.
hole. And it felt like that for the whole rest of the game. It was just like, "Oh, what monster is this? Oh, it goes in the square hole."
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's one of those things where you're right. If there's a big enough level advantage,
Yeah.
type differences don't matter.
Even if there's not, Psychic is so grossly overpowered in the game.
It is, in especially in this first generation,
Yeah.
some of the types feel stronger than others.
Oh, yeah.
Anything strong against ground, you're going to crush your way through a lot of dungeons in the game because there's a lot of caves,
Right.
and there's a lot of
And-
ground type Pokemon. in
And
caves.
just using my one Psychic type Pokemon, I felt like I saw super effective most of the time. And even when I saw it's not very effective, it was still killing things in one hit.
yeah.
And where it felt like it didn't matter whether or not it was effective.
It also depends. I mean, it depends on a lot of things. It depends on the move. There are also critical hits. You can occasionally score a critical hit, which changes things up a little bit. I mean, as far as type differences, Psychic is there's a couple of them that feel extra hard to beat. Dragon's one of them.
Yeah, that last Elite Four battle was the first time I felt any level of challenge after the beginning of the game.
To dragon,
Yeah.
and so it's one of those things where it's like, shit, this is this is fucking problematic.
My Alakazam almost died in that battle. I had to bring in a different Pokemons for a second so I could heal.
And so, it's one of those things where it is the foundational element of Pokemon is type differences, and you do want to be theoretically changing out your Pokemon based on type. If you have a high enough level advantage, no, it doesn't matter, which that's kind of true of every JRPG. Right. That's sort of how they're built, where if you gain enough levels, it doesn't really fucking matter what you do, you're going to kill them. The numbers just get too big.
But the early game seems to encourage overleveling, just based on how it's laid out.
I don't feel that at all. I get to the end of the game and I'm like level 35 every time. And I'm like, shit, I got to grind for 10, 15 levels.
I think I was level 35 by like the third or fourth gym.
No, I hit the Elite Four at about 35, 37 general range. And then I'm like, oh, they're all level 50. I got to go grind for a while to even face them because all I do is type advantage stuff every single battle. I'm like, I load out my party with things with enough diversity that every battle, every Pokemon, I've got some kind of type advantage that I can take advantage of. And if not that, then status effects that I can use to skirt around, type weaknesses that I have.
I felt like I was over level for pretty much the entire game after that beginning area, just because I couldn't get through that beginning area without getting over level, and it just left me over level the rest of the game.
Yeah, never been an issue for me. I usually get Viridian Forest first or second shot. I was on Cinnabar Island, going toward the last to the last gym, Giovanni, and I think it was level 34, 35.
Man, yeah.
And then I just go grind. So no, I've always had an underlevel issue in Pokemon games, which is that if you take proper advantage of the type system, you can be underlevel. I'm fighting gym battles and they're 5, 6, 7 levels over me, and it doesn't matter because I've type advantage.
So I was doing the thing. I don't know if this is the correct way to play or not, but I was doing the thing where I'd swap in literally every Pokemon in literally every battle just to make sure they all got equal experience. And also I was making sure that I caught all the Pokemon before I left an area because I didn't want to backtrack. And so between those things, I ended up being pretty grossly over level.
Based on the things you've told me about how you've played, I don't ever want to say there's a wrong way to play games. You got through the game, so I wouldn't say you did it wrong. You completed the game and were very high level and high enough level that you could coast through the post game too. Yeah. But I think you were doing it really inefficiently, is what I might say. Like if you're like, hey, I'm just trying to get through the game as quick as possible, I think if that were your theoretical goal, then in that particular instance, I'd be like, yeah, maybe the way you're doing it is not the best way.
Which is weird because that's generally the most efficient way for most JRPGs, which is I think front leveling and then just coasting the rest of the game. Whereas, which is basically what I did, but it felt like it took forever.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where, for what it is, as simple of a game as it is, for children, it is a long game.
It didn't feel long so much as just padded to me.
I mean, I don't feel padding. I'm there for Pokemon battles, and it's Pokemon battles end to end. I mean, the whole time I'm doing Pokemon battles.
Maybe that's my thing is when I play a JRPG, combat is the padding. So this felt like it was all padding and no gameplay.
I mean, it'd be like being like, oh yeah, my football game is just full of football. Like, well, that's what they're there. You're like, I want more menus. Like, no, they're all there for the football. Like, there is other stuff.
Yeah.
There's a campaign manager and stuff in your football game, but you're there to play football. Right. That's the main driving action of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would say the way you played it was definitely different than the way I've seen anyone else play Pokemon.
I was trying to collect them all. It told me right from the beginning that my goal was to collect them all.
But the most efficient way to collect them all is to finish the game as fast as you can and then go back because you get them way faster.
But then it was finished.
Well, no, then you're starting the game because of the post game.
No, I have to have done all the things that I could have done before I get to that point.
I catch stuff as I go. Games that way. I catch stuff as I go, but it's not until I get Fly and the Versus Seeker that I actually start trying to like, all right, I'm gonna go back and collect now. Until then, it's just like, whatever I run into, I'll catch it if I can, cool. If not, it's gonna be 10 times faster to come back later. and get a Eradicate with Super Fang and catch it that way with some Ultra Balls when I'm way higher level, 10 times faster.
Yeah, that's just how I play every game. I have to do all the things that I can do before I progress the story, or I feel like I'm leaving something behind. So I end up just like camping out every time I get to a new story event and being like, all right, I have to do all the things here, finish all that, and then I can move on. And this game seems to discourage that heavily.
If you consider, in air quotes, doing all the things to mean catching every single available Pokemon in every single available area that you pass through.
Yeah. And getting them all up to equal level.
Compel yourself to do it differently.
Yeah.
Then I could see that being a frustrating time where you're like, oh, because then you're just kind of like playing the RNG game of like, how long is it going to take me to run into this thing before I run out of resources? Because the thing about the battle system is using a move reduces its power points.
Yeah, like in Saga games.
Yeah, so this means that you got to always be aware of how many times you can use an ability. Stronger abilities have less power points, and it also means that even when you've taken no damage, you're always still draining your resources slightly, which I love. I think that's awesome. I like the idea of the tension of when I'm getting near the end of a dungeon or a cave or an area, and I'm long between Poké Center visits, and I'm like, shit, do I escape rope out and go back to the Poké Center and try again, or can I kind of eke through the end here, and I've only got like 2 or 3 moves left of my really good type advantage moves for this area or whatever. I like that tension. I enjoy the tension that introduces into the gameplay of the dungeons.
I hate that so much. That's my least favorite part.
I've always kind of felt like Pokemon in general, like at least compared to other JRPGs, has like almost a fighting game feel to it. Some battles go really quickly when there's like type or massive level advantages in your favor, but then some of them are just really fucking long battles. I had some battles that were and granted, I picked Bulbasaur, so Venusaur ends up being my main, and he's just kind of not a quick Pokemon, and he has a shitty move set in this game. He's not the strongest, but I use him anyway. And the way I play him is I rely heavily on status effects and sleep effects and Leech Seed and stuff like that. And so some of them turn into some real slugfests. Like there's some real nail biters.
I didn't have
throughout just the main story. Well, I mean, when you're 40, 50 levels above your opponent, I don't know that you would run into any of that. No, I don't think that's. I like if you're coming to Pokemon being like, I want to play as little game as I have to. You're not gonna have a good time. You know what I mean? Like that's straight up.
I mean, my goal was to collect them all, which I thought was going to be a pretty beefy game, but meticulous. And instead, it was a very challenging game and very slow.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely snappier than the original iteration, but it's. I mean, even newer Pokemon games, like they're not the fastest things in the world. They never have been. It's never been their thing.
A lot of really slow animations too, like in and out of battle.
Yeah,
and
you can turn off some of it. You can increase the text speed, but it's all still very like. There's just stuff to sit through.
Yeah,
It's just kind of one of those things. The game really wants you to be enamored with the animations and descriptions of what your Pokemon are doing at all times. And if you're like, I don't really fucking give a shit, these are just check boxes I'm trying to get through, you're probably going to be annoyed by it pretty quickly.
The game really expects you to be enamored with the charm of the world of the Pokemon. And if you aren't fully bought into that, then there are times where it drags.
Yeah. Pokemon games also habitually, and this one is no different, make heavy use of items. They expect you to have them on hand regularly. Escape ropes and repels are pretty much required as far as I'm concerned for as many dungeons that simply terminate with you at the end. Oh, I use repels all the time. The encounter rate is insane in these games.
Yeah, it sucked. I just ran a lot when I ran.
I put cleanse tag on my lead Pokemon, which reduces the encounter rate by a third. And then I'll also throw on a repel as long as I've caught most of the Pokemon in that area that I care about, and then I'll use that to fire through dungeons when when you're you're in the last leg of a dungeon and you're like, I'm kind of running out of moves and shit.
Yeah, I just went until I ran out of moves, and then I ran from everything until I got back to a Poké Center, and then I would go back in and do it again.
No, I would just repel my way through and then do those last couple encounters and then circle back if I needed to.
After I got past that intro area, I stopped using items altogether because I was worried I was going to run out all the time and I couldn't get more money. So I just stopped using them and just ran back and forth to the Pokemon Center as much as I had to.
I made most of my grinding was via the Versus Seeker, which is added to this. It was not in the original game. It was added, which lets you redo any trainer battles kind of as much as you want. And so I was pretty well. Also, the game has a lot of items that you pick up if you're meticulous in dungeons that just are for selling. Nuggets, Stardust, Star Pieces.
I never knew what any of those were, so I just hung on to them.
Well, they have descriptions that just says sells for a lot. Is all it'll be like, it's a nugget of gold. It sells for a lot. Any description of an item that says it sells for a lot, it's just there to be sold for extra cash.
I probably should have, but I didn't. I didn't get around to it because I assumed that somebody would ask for one at some point.
So let me see. You skimmed all the dialogue, read no item descriptions, and were confused why you were confused.
Yeah. So I with items in a JRPG, when I get an item in a JRPG, I assume someone is going to ask me for it at some point. So it just sits in the inventory until that comes around. And then if I'm desperate for money, then I'll look through and see if any of these are just obvious selling items. But I never was desperate for money by the end. I was afraid I was going to be, so I didn't use any items. But I wasn't ever actually desperate for money by the end.
So these remakes, thankfully, give you a section of your inventory called key items. And key items are the items that are key. They're important to the game. Everything else,
the story
not
items.
A key item.
Right.
Yeah. Which is nice because then you don't have to worry about, like, did I fucking need that thing or not? Now, granted, there's some shit like that is in your regular inventory that, like, you don't want to sell that. Like when you get your Everstone, your EXP share, which I don't think you even can. I don't think the stores will take them. So the game is pretty good about locking you out of getting rid of story relevant shit, which there's very few story relevant items anyway. Most of it's just things you want to reuse, like your bike and your fishing rod and stuff.
I did appreciate that they had the HMTM case instead of just filling your inventory with them.
Yes, that was nice. Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Right.
Let's talk trading.
Okay, we did that.
And we'll get into new stuff. You in the trading section I wrote, you do in fact have to catch them all.
You gotta.
It's the catchphrase.
Right.
For people that don't know, Pokemon games famously split a few other Pokemon between the games, meaning one game will get a certain Pokemon while the other game will get a similar but different ones. Like LeafGreen gets Pinsir, and then Fire Red gets Scyther, and they're both bug types, and you want to trade them with each other.
And it convinced everybody to release their Game Boy games the same way for like 5 years there, and then they all realized that none of them could sell as well as Pokemon, so they stopped.
Also, a lot of them did it. And here's the thing. It's a bullshit thing that Pokemon did this to begin with. It's like 9 Pokemon different between the games. What an asshole move. Right? It's always been an asshole move.
Yeah.
And they even acknowledged it by later, in most generations, going, all right, here's the third game that's everything smushed into one with some new stuff.
Yeah.
So that you would buy each generation 3 times.
Yep. And that third game still wouldn't have all of them because it would be missing some from each of the other 2.
They want you to have all 3.
Yeah.
And other games would have even worse reasons to have multiple versions than this already tenuous reason. Trading's done in the second floor of the Poke Center. Traded Pokemon also receive bonus XP simply for being traded Pokemon, which I've always liked. It incentivizes players to trade frequently and then to use the Pokemon that are traded for.
Right.
It's not just a checkbox like that Pokemon gets bonus XP. You'd be silly not to use it if you have a spot in your party for it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Some Pokemon only evolve via trade, which when I was a kid blew our minds. We would trade a Pokemon and go, oh my God, it changed after you traded it to me. Some Pokemon
I thought that was also in the manual.
It might have been. We didn't have the fucking manuals. I mean, we were 10. Like, even if we had it, the shit was at home and we were on the playground trading fucking Pokemon. We didn't have that. We didn't read that thing. I'm not reading that. That's ridiculous. It's like 20 pages.
I always read the manuals before I played any game, even when I was like 10 years old.
No. I mean, I might have read it the very first time, but I got to tell you, my recollection when I was 10 wasn't phenomenal.
I remember when the first Zelda came out, I would have been like 6 or 7, and I read through that manual so many fucking times just because of all the little cool little pictures of Link in there.
Yeah. I do remember looking at the art on the front and back of the boxes a lot. Granted, almost all of my games came with no manuals. They were bought used.
Yeah.
All my NES, all my SNES games. Pokemon, I do remember getting new in the box. They're that and Link's Awakening DX are the only Game Boy games I ever remember getting new in a box. Yeah, that would be it. So I don't know if I had Pokemon manuals. but I don't remember having them because my mom would be like, "Let's throw this trash in the trash can," and I'd be like, "Okay, I got the game. I don't give a shit."
So sad.
So trading is a big part of Pokemon. It's necessary to collect them all. Many Pokemon evolve through trading. It's always been core to the games, and I feel like they've always handled it well. We did some trading.
Mhm.
It is for the era.
Yeah.
For the era, the GBA era. It's relatively efficient connecting
Yeah.
two things up together and transferring information. It's a little slow, but
It wasn't
it's not
bad.
like. I did get 2 wireless adapters and do the wireless adapter thing,
Yeah.
which is really cool. You go into a union room. I thought the wireless adapters were like IR blasters, like the Game Boy Color. They are not.
No, they're proper wireless.
They're like generic wireless, so that you don't have to fucking point them at each other.
Yeah, if they had been, it would have been really frustrating with like the Game Boy player and shit.
Yes, it would have been and was on the Game Boy Color. The IR blaster sucked to use.
IR everything is bad.
It's not a fun thing. So I just assumed the wireless adapter was like that. It's not. It's pretty cool. You enter into a union room. It can support up to some amount of players, like 16 or something.
Yeah.
And you can just walk up to people and battle and trade them, and it's neat.
Nice.
Battling and trading works fine with a link cable, and it's fun and it's a thing, and you can do it.
Nice.
Mini games. There are some mini games. There's unfortunately no fishing mini game, which breaks my heart.
For the best.
There's the Safari Zone.
Fishing in this game already sucks, by the way.
Wait, you just gotta wait through a dialogue box.
Yeah, and then you get the same fucking horsey every goddamn time.
Oh, no, I got different stuff. Well, I didn't have horsey in my game. I had crabby.
I finally figured it out after you and I had traded shit. I figured out why I kept getting the same thing. You can't just use the best rod every time. You have to use the other shittier rods in order to get different Pokemons.
Yeah, the rods get different Pokemon.
Yeah, I did not realize. I just assumed that if the rod, or if the fish could be got with the basic rod, it could also be gotten with the better rod. So I was just using the better rod every time. I was like, why am I just getting the same fucking thing every single time?
I'm a little fascinated.
So I had to look up that mechanics.
You were like, I read so much information that I became lost in a sea of information, and yet don't know the most extreme basic things that the game just tells you.
Well, that's the thing, because all these websites that I was looking at were just like glossing past this, assuming that everybody knew the basics of Pokemon, and I had missed all of this. Well, and somehow I didn't see it in the game either. I have no idea how I missed that.
Mini games. There's the Safari Zone, which I like. You go into battles, but you have rocks and bait.
Yeah.
Bait makes Pokemon.
I didn't like that area at all.
Oh, I love that area. So Safari Zone has its own exclusive Pokemon. There's Pokemon that are only in the Safari Zone.
Yep.
And the rocks increase the chance that they are catchable, and the bait increases the chances that they will stay. So you have to find this kind of rhythm of like rocks and bait, and then throwing Safari balls, and it's all on a timer.
I just felt bad throwing rocks, so I just throw the bait and hope that they would stick around long enough for me to catch them.
Well, the bait will make them stick around, but they take 50 fucking Safari balls to catch then.
Yeah. Yeah, I ran out of a lot of Safari balls.
Yeah, no, the trick is, this is my trick. It's 2 rocks, and then you start catching, and that's it. That's all you do, and it works pretty good. There's a game corner, which has slot machines, which are cool. Yeah. You can play some slot machines, and I think they're a little tilted in player favor, but not like too incredibly much, so you do have to spend a bit of time there. In traditional Japanese fashion, the slot machines are separate from the cash-in, slot machine coins redemption area. There are some Pokemon you can only get at the redemption area, so you do have to play the slot machines to get like Porygon, and I think Dratini might be exclusive to it.
Maybe.
I think it's Porygon and Dratini. In this remake, the minimum payout is reduced from 8 to 2 Pokédollars, so it actually is harder in Leaf Green, Fire Red. I spent a lot of time on the slot machines.
Yep, same here. Fast Forward was great for that.
There is another game corner, the Joyful Game Corner, which is on 2 Island, which is part of the Lost L quest thing that allows for playing multiplayer minigames, which I didn't know, or we could have done that. So I haven't messed with it. It's just additional wireless adapter functionality, and there's some additional mini games you can play with other people, which is cool that they added it.
Yeah, I was watching the 3rd season of Twin Peaks and just had Fast Forward going and hitting the button for the slots over and over again. And anytime I looked up and had lost too much money, I'd just load state and try it again.
No, I just play through. Yeah, and usually I'm cash rich to the point that I don't miss the money, so it's fine. Let's talk new stuff. New stuff added specifically in Leaf Green and Fire Red from Red and Blue. First up, you can be a girl. Girls play video games too, Saturn. Did you know this?
That's
Did
impossible.
You know this? This is crazy.
But how do they see the screen with all of their breasts in the way?
They just hold it at a higher.
Oh, I see. Amazing technology to come up with.
Some Gen 2 and Gen 3 Pokemon can be caught in the wild on the Sevi Islands, which you talked about a little bit last time. They add breeding, mentioned before. It's introduced. It creates a wealth of new options for Fire Red, Leaf Green that didn't exist in the original games. Very exciting. I love breeding. I love, my favorite thing is...
you can't just say, I love breeding in the middle of the episode, not expect anybody
Shut up!
to
We
react
talked about
to it.
Ultravore earlier. I love breeding. Because I can make, whenever I get to the breeding area, the first thing I do is I make a whole box of just Bulbasaur eggs, and anyone that I play the game with gets a Bulbasaur egg. So Saturn, you got a Bulbasaur egg?
No, it didn't let me get it, remember?
Oh yeah, it wouldn't let you have it. Well, later you could have got a Bulbasaur. I got one I held back just for you. There's Bulbasaur egg just for you.
All right.
They added double battles, which I think are pretty fun.
Yeah, that was neat.
They're a feature of later games. They add a little bit of strategery, also because you have to worry about like some attacks will attack even your ally Pokemon, so you have to kind of be a little more strategic about that. I wish there were more of them.
Yeah, it was only a handful.
There's like 7 in the whole game. I could have gone for a lot more double battles. I think they're really cool. They're a lot of fun. Resuming a saved game. This is my favorite feature that they added.
Oh, the previously on Pokemon bit?
Yes.
Yeah,
when you resume a save game, it shows the last 4 things you did before quitting.
Yeah.
Which is really good when you're in the middle of a town and you're like, fuck, did I do the gym? Oh, did I go do that fucking thing? Did I go over here? Did I go buy shit at the Pokemart?
I was just really pleased that never once did it say, you entered the Pokemon Center, then you left the Pokemon Center, then you entered the Pokemon Center, then you left the Pokemon Center.
It is
I
pretty
do that
intelligent.
sometimes.
It is pretty intelligent about what it shows you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's a great feature. I wish every JRPG ever had this.
It was pretty nice. It reminded me of the feature in Dragon Quest XI where they gave you the little recap every time.
Yes. I love that stuff because I'll put down a game. We talk about it all the time. I play games like waiting to pick my kid up from school, at the dentist's office, wherever, whenever I get a free moment.
And then you'll put it down for 3 years and come back
and then I'll put it down for 3 years and I'll pick it up. And it's like, here's what you were doing. And I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Great. They added a help system and Teachy TV, which is full built-in tutorials to
It
help
did not
you
help me at all.
a lot of different concepts. I've never even booted it up, so I have no idea what it does or doesn't cover.
Like, it was telling me, like, you can press the A button to advance the dialogue. And I'm like, that's great for a 5-year-old. It's not so great for me right now.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe you didn't know that. You didn't know you could sell nuggets. So
Well, I knew I could. I just didn't know that I should. So I didn't
want to.
Thought maybe they'd be useful for something else someday.
Some technical stuff. Some moves were modified to be Gen 3 compliant with type changes and other errata, kind of obvious stuff you would expect.
Yeah.
They added berries, but you can't grow berries because there's no RTC in the game. Because Gen 2 had RTC, and berries would grow, and you could plant berries, and they would grow in real time. You'd check back later in the day in real life, and there'd be berries grown on this tree. So the berries are here, but you can't grow them. They're just sort of around the world, and you can pick them up. So they kind of play less of a role. Berries famously are things that you have your Pokemon hold, and they'll use them in battle. So if you give them a poison berry, then when they get poisoned, they'll automatically eat it and cure themselves of poison without eating a turn.
Was that famous? I had no idea.
Yes, famous.
Okay.
Everyone knows it's so
I
famous.
see.
The Versus Seeker was added, which I think is great for grinding because you get way more experience and also money.
You get money for
battles.
it. Yep. That's the useful part.
Pokemon have natures and abilities, the ability to hold items, and now they have genders because they can bang and make babies.
It is weird that it adds the genders to them, but then there's still the Nidoran.
Yeah, well, they're sexually dimorphous, so they look different, so they're different. There's Nidoran and Nidorina.
Yeah, but it's just kind of weird that one was always gendered, and now all the rest of them are also gendered, which makes those feel less interesting.
Yeah, well, but a male and female Mankey both look the same.
They do.
But a male and female Nidoran and Nidorina, again, are sexually dimorphous. They look different. So they get to be different Pokemon.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's what makes them special and different. They do feel a little less special.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. Natures and abilities are cool. I always forget what natures do. They like raise a certain stat based on your nature.
Yeah.
Abilities are neat.
The natures feels like the personality thing from Dragon Quest III. That's what it
I could
reminds
see
me of.
that. Yeah. Abilities are great. They let you catch Pokemon that have things like resistances to certain status effects and stuff like that. So it just kind of adds some strategy to it.
Yeah.
Connectivity.
Mhm.
I have an infographic attached to this episide.
Oh.
It's in the folder. If you want to open it up, it's
Oh,
this
I did
gigantic
not see
infographic.
this.
It's very
Let me
tall.
pull this up. Holy shit.
This is why Fire Red mattered. And so I wanted to talk about this. There was no way to trade between generations 1 and 2 and generation 3.
Yeah.
So Ruby Sapphire came out, Emerald came out later. And there was no way to trade your Pokemon forward from Red, Blue, Yellow, and Gold, Silver, Crystal to Gen 3.
Yeah.
And so this is why Fire Red and Leaf Green were important, because now you can play the original game and have them be Gen 3 tradable compatible, and then later on you could insert the games into the Heart Gold Soul Silver, the Gold and Silver remakes on the DS, and do one-way PAL Park transfers. And so this is kind of the minimum. Generation 3 is the minimum generation that you're able to kind of trade forward into stuff.
Now, I did see some guy on the internet when I was looking all this up has made an adapter that will let you trade from Gen 2 to Gen 3.
Yes, there are workaround.
It is janky looking.
Kind of hacks.
Yeah.
There's also ways to dump your saves and do different things. Now, when the 3DS versions of the Pokemans came out, the original games, they would use Pokemon Home, which would then transfer into the main games. But now that's been... The 3DS is shut down. You can't.
Pokemon Bank, wasn't it?
Yeah, Pokemon Bank. Well, I think now it's Pokemon Home. Then it was Pokemon Bank.
I see.
Anyway, but then that was taken away, so now you can't again, presumably. So
that's nice of them. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Wireless adapter is cool. It's only usable with Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Emerald. It doesn't work with Ruby and Sapphire. They're cable only.
Well, it hadn't come out yet when they came out.
Right, but just felt weird. The wireless adapter allowed for obtaining certain mystery gifts at various Nintendo kiosks, as well as entering the Union Room, which we talked about. Yeah. There was a ton of events. I have a piece of software on my computer that lets me add the events to my save files, which I did for you, I did for me, I did for my daughter. There were just lots of mystery gifts and giveaways and Pokemon Across America things where they give away 20 different Pokemon and legendaries and all sorts of cool shit like that. That's just... unavailable now without hacking because, is what it is.
Yeah, that is the downside of timed-only events, real-life timed-only events for games. It's just something that's kind of lost to time unless you just hack it in.
Yeah. Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD on GameCube link via the GameCube to GBA cable and support trading as long as you've completed Celio's post-game mission, which is cool.
Yeah, I do have... the Coliseum demo disc, the pre-order demo disc that lets you get something on your
did
Pokemon.
You get the something?
I don't have a Game Boy to link it with because my game is on my emulator.
Oh, yeah, I guess we could have done it while I was over. We didn't say anything.
I did say something. Just
well, I forgot.
Do anything.
And then, of course, they can link via PAL Park to Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart, Gold, Soul, Silver. Because the DS can take both in both holes. It can double. It can do it, but at the same time, the DS has DP capability.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
You love breeding.
It's a game for 10-year-olds. And that's kind of it. That's most of the gameplay for the Pokemans. You seem to struggle an extreme amount with it.
Yes.
Because the game mostly wanted you to just catch and battle Pokemon and only care about that.
Yeah, even when I was a 10-year-old, I didn't play games like that. I obsessed over getting every single thing in every single area before I moved on. I assume it's an obsession I learned from my mother because that's also how she plays video games.
I will say this. I do kind of... Because JRPGs are famous. The whole genre is famous for... making things that you can only get that first time through and you can't go back for it.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot
and
of
Pokemon is not only doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But there are some like one-time things like the legendaries. You get one shot, but theoretically just save in front of them because they're standing there. You can see them.
Yeah. You know when it's coming.
Yeah, but beyond that, there's never moments where it's like, you're never going to get another time to go. You can always just fly back and fucking do it again. And I think maybe it's just you got conditioned to play JRPGs a certain way, and that
Very
is
possibly.
the correct way
Yeah,
in
a lot
most
of games.
JRPGs.
Yeah.
Because they do that fucking shit all the time.
Yeah.
Pokemon doesn't
Yeah.
so much.
I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's where the disconnect is for you. You know?
And maybe if I had grown up with these and played them as a child, I would have learned how Pokemon works and not played them like a freak like I did, because that made it very difficult in the early game and completely negligible for the rest of the game.
Pokemon taught me to play JRPGs, and I think that's why I struggle with JRPGs now.
Yeah, because
it's because I'm like, just let me go do fucking battles. Why did you lock me out of this one thing? Because I didn't talk to one guy one time. Yeah. That's so dumb. Like I'm.
It does feel strange that Pokemon's emphasis is on the battles, whereas most JRPGs, the battles are just your roadblock to progression, whereas in Pokemon it is your progression.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. You know, it's again, it just feels like a different design approach. Yeah. Like Pokemon very much blatantly was like, hey, the game is catching and battling Pokemon.
Right.
That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
We got to have a story because it can't just be a big fucking pit with 80 10-year-olds and they're all killing each other. There's got to be something to do.
Oh, I hope somebody releases a game that's just throw a bunch of kids in a pit and make them battle each other.
Chuck some Pikachus in there and be like, y'all fucking figure it out.
Just Battle Royale Pokemon edition.
And so, you know, I get it. And Pokemon, again, to its credit and detriment, has always been a game that is for the attention span of 10-year-olds.
Right.
10-year-olds that are obsessed with the actual Pokemon.
Right. With the creatures more than the world.
Yeah, don't really give a hot fucking shit about what some guy in a building has to say.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they'll go see what he has to say, but he better say it quick and in one sentence, and then we're done, and then we're back to killing things with a Pikachu.
And like, it better always relate back to Pokemon in the end. Don't be telling me about your wife and her hardships. Tell me about the Pokemon.
I want to know about this Slowpoke that you got.
Right.
Tell me about this guy over here. Like that's. And so, for me, it was always enough because I was here for the Pokemon. That's what I cared about. That's what I was interested in. And the story was there, but I mostly wanted to get the fuck out of the way so that I could do more Pokemon.
See, I approached it because I was already in high school when this came out. I approached it as I like the idea of all these cute monsters, and I definitely want to collect all the cute monsters because they are adorable, and I want adorable things. I just wanted a story around it to like invest me in this world, and that was never something it wanted to provide.
Now, the Pokemon spin-off games, stuff like Gale of Darkness, stuff like the other one on Switch, what's it fucking called? The one that's not just like mainline
Legends,
Pokemon,
whatever.
Yeah, that one. Those are story-centric Pokemon games.
All right.
So maybe those are what you want.
Maybe.
You know, and maybe that would be more your speed. But I For me, I found the remakes to be real snappy, and they're just improvements on the original formula, and I'm okay with that. But if I mean, again, like you're kind of emphasizing, if you weren't already there for the original conceit, this is not gonna change your mind.
It does have a ton of quality of life improvements over the originals. I give it huge credit for that.
It's faster, it's snappier, it's more streamlined, it has more features,
but it still feels very slow and clunky compared to other JRPGs on Game Boy.
Yeah, I mean, it is, again, and we talked about it last episode.
Yeah.
It's a 1996, originally in Japan, developed Game Boy game.
Right.
Does it mean they can't add features? No. Did they still add a lot of shit?
Sure.
Yes. Did they really kind of reinvent it? No. Not really.
I feel like it could have used a little more quality of life than it got, but it's still, fine for what it is.
I think it had... For me, again, being a Pokemon fan that can still go back to the original generation, which I don't recommend to anybody. If anybody is like, hey, where should I start with Pokemon? I'm like, here, start with Fire Red, Leaf Green. Don't go back to the original Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games. You gotta have love for them, I think, to go back to them.
Yeah. Or just really love old games.
Yeah, I just really love old games. Let's talk reception real quick
Yeah.
because we're kind of already getting into final thoughts.
All right.
Metacritic is 81 out of 100. It was well received. One Up, Nintendo Joe, Eurogamer, G4 all gave it middling to passable reviews in the 60 to 70 range. Most of them citing kind of more of the same, which is sort of the constant to this day perpetual criticism of Pokemon.
Yeah, too much water.
Cheat Code Central said it amounted to nothing, quote, more than what we call an expansion pack for a PC game. So they were very critical of it.
Yeah.
I feel like that like it's side by side, it's pretty improved.
You know, I can see where they're coming from content wise. It does feel like a similar level of content to what
content wise,
but
sure.
It's also the same price that most expansion packs were at the time.
True.
So
Nintendo Power shockingly gave it a glowing review. IGN and GamePro did as well. EGM gave the game a 7, 8, and 8, with lots of comments about the future game, Emerald, and how the wireless adapter could be a glimpse of, quote, what Nintendo DS multiplayer could be like, because DS was right around the corner.
Well, hadn't Emerald already come out at this point?
I don't think so. No.
I thought that because I know Ruby and Sapphire were a year or two before this. So I assumed that Emerald was as well.
No, I'm pretty sure Emerald was after. I think it was later. I don't look it up on Wikipedia. I think it was like later in the year, like late in the year.
Oh.
Yeah, it was late 04 in Japan, early 05 everywhere else.
Weird. I just assumed that it came out closer to Ruby Sapphire.
No, there's a gap. They used to have a little gap there, and then they it has shortened, I think, over time, but I'd have to look at release.
Well, that'd explain why it works with the wireless adapter.
That would explain. GamePro included Fire Red Leaf Green in their 33 essential handheld games list in issue 225 alongside lists for the DS and PSP. So they at least thought it was that essential. Legacy-wise, obviously led to other Pokemon remakes on future consoles. Kind of set the standard for Pokemon remakes, which would continue with Heart Gold Soul Silver remakes, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire remakes, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which are remakes of this remake. It's the first games again a third time.
I hear it's even more basic than these are, though.
Oh, it's extremely basic.
I hear it's like my first Pokemon game.
It is, which I think is good for kids.
Yeah.
I don't think it will hold an adult's attention span for longer than 10 minutes.
Right.
It's extremely basic. It's like what if Pokemon Go was actually a full game?
Right.
And then that's it. Also, we got Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl most recently, the Diamond and Pearl remakes. It allowed for cross-generational compatibility between Gen 3 and Gen 1, which is what we talked about, which is kind of a big deal at the time. And since Gen 3 there's been some way to transfer since that has occurred.
Yeah.
So really, I think the GBA games end up being a lot of standard setting, a lot of going back and visually making things more in line with the brand, you know?
Yeah.
And it makes the first two games feel anomalous in a few different ways. Visually anomalous, gameplay-wise anomalous. They're not, at the time at least, weren't compatible with the forward games. Right. They just kind of felt like these weird one-off things, and then they sort of collectively realized, like, no, this is a thing we're going to continue doing every generation into the future.
Right.
And then it was all forward-thinking brand development kind of focused stuff.
Though I do miss Fat Pikachu.
I do too. Yeah. They did release him the trading card game Fat Pikachu.
Yeah? Nice.
A year or two ago.
I would love to see them introduce him as like a regional variant Pikachu in a future game.
They do have regional variants. I don't know if they have a little chonky Pikachu. A little chonker.
They need it. They need it.
A little chonker chew.
Right.
They might, for all I know. I don't know. And so I guess getting into kind of final thoughts, I think these are great remakes of Red, Green, Blue.
Mm-hmm.
They're snappier than the originals by a long shot. They feel a bit quicker than some of the later games in the series. Like playing this and then playing original Diamond and Pearl. This is a faster game. I might just be misremembering, but Diamond and Pearl felt fucking slow as shit.
That was after
Everything
this, right?
was slow. Just watching health bars go down in Diamond and Pearl was excruciatingly slow.
You just need a fast forward button. Makes the whole game
better. It was largely fixed in Platinum, but still, it was. I remember it being a problem. And I don't know if it's just that this is so content light that it feels snappy that you really kind of fire through a lot of it pretty quick. I liked the additional content. The Sevi Islands were fun. I greatly enjoyed the improvements they made. I really found myself kind of engrossed in this original journey all over again.
Yeah.
And I'm on record and continue to say that these are the definitive way to play the original Pokemon games as far as I'm concerned. Anyone that's like, hey, I've never played a Pokemon, but I want to start with one, Fire Red Leaf Green is my immediate recommendation. Just no questions. Just go Fire Red Leaf Green. If you fucking love them and they're incredible, maybe check out Gen 1 and 2 just to see where it all came from. But Fire Red Leaf Green is the starting point that I think I would recommend anyone that wants to get into Pokemon games easily.
I would say if you've not ever been sold on Pokemon, I don't think it's going to sell you. But I can appreciate the love people have for the series. I respect it. I think this did cement for me that it's definitely not for me. I'm just not going to click with it.
Let me ask you this. Would you say this is the best Pokemon game you've played?
It's definitely the best one I've finished.
Okay.
It's also the only one I've played. Pokemon Puzzle League on N64.
Okay, I mean mainline Pokemon games.
Oh,
come on.
Then yeah, I guess it would have to be just because I've only really played the 2.
There you go. Saturn said it here. Best Pokemon game ever.
Yeah, definitely.
Fire Red Leaf. Back of the box quote. Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. Like, if you're not here for the Pokemon, you don't enjoy the Pokemon, you're not here for the battling and the collecting and all that, and you want to experience a story-rich JRPG, this
actually it as far as the actual like Pokemon, as far as enjoying time with the actual creatures and the monsters, I would say the game I enjoyed the most so far was Snap on N64, because I played a shitload of that when it first came out, and then printed little stickers, and the stickers are adorable. And I got a little Squirtle, and it looked like he was winking at me, and it was very cute.
It's all very true.
But as far as the gameplay itself goes, as somebody who is a big fan of JRPGs, I can't endorse it. It just feels so off in so many ways. It feels wrong, and there are so many better JRPGs on Game Boy, and if you want to play them, they're out there, and you should play those. So I have a hard time recommending it fully.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, sorry.
It's real rough. Ships in the night. It's interesting how hard of a time you had with this game.
Yeah, getting past that beginning was just rough for me. It was a real steep difficulty curve for me.
Like, and this isn't to be critical. I mean, we all have our challenges in different ways, but like as we continue to do the show, I think we constantly learn little things about how one another plays games.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, it's for 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
He's using the official guide.
Right.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't get out of Viridian Forest.
I
couldn't.
like,
what the fuck? How?
Oh, it was so hard. I was so ready to write like 3 pages of aggressively angry notes about this game at that point.
Oh my God.
I was stoked, and then I like deleted them all. I was like, no, I have to get further in the game. There's got to be something I'm doing wrong. This is a me problem, not a game problem. And so I went back on it.
I think it can be both, right? Like, it can be a not a you problem, but maybe a problem of you playing the game in a way the game doesn't anticipate.
Yeah.
And, that's always going to create tension.
It does feel like there's a design disconnect from the whole of JRPGs as a genre and Pokemon as a game, because it is explicitly targeting that key demographic that it targets, which these days is no longer the demographic that mostly plays it anymore, I think. But because of that specific design focus, it gives it a huge disconnect from the rest of the greater genre that it evolved from.
Would you think, because I don't know, this is going to sound insane, some insane Justin statement. I think of Pokemon kind of in the same way that I think about like roguelikes or mystery dungeon games. Where like, there's a story, I guess, but I'm not here for this. I didn't sign up for that. Like, that's not what I'm coming to this for. I'm not here for a story in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I kind of think of Pokemon the same way, where it's like, there's some set dressing, but you're here for the game. And I wonder if maybe Pokemon was sold to you as that rather than, because I call it a JRPG. Everyone still calls it a JRPG because on paper it is a JRPG.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
It
a
uses-
Japanese developed role-playing game, turn-based menus. Like, it's the whole thing.
Yeah, it uses JRPG mechanics, but it uses them in just a drastically different way than most JRPGs. Because in most JRPGs, the battles are just an obstacle you're being forced to push through in order to get to the content.
In this, they're the objective.
Yeah, it is the content. It is the pure amount of the content.
I wonder if maybe this was never sold to you as a JRPG, which, granted, one, that would have probably eliminated any interest you may have preliminarily had at all.
No, because I did like the idea of the cute monsters, too.
True, that's true. What was your favorite cute monster?
Oh, that's hard to say. There's a lot of cute monsters in this game. There are. I don't know. I can't pick a favorite because they're all just very adorable. And as much as I want to give you hell about your love of Bulbasaur, he's also very adorable.
Isn't he so adorable? You want to hate him, but you can't.
No, I don't want to hate him. I just want to judge you, but I can't because he is in fact very adorable.
I think we can all agree. Charmander is the least cute starter.
Yeah.
But it's not that he's not cute.
No,
it's
he's
that
still
the other
very
two
cute.
Are so cute.
Oh yeah.
That it's an unfair battle.
Yeah, and even then, I would say he's close on par with Squirtle until you look at Squirtle's tail and you see the little curl there, and that adds like 3 points.
He's a squirrel turtle.
I know, it's adorable. That's too much. You can't. That's more than humanity was meant to bear. I also I like Psyduck because he just looks stupid all the time.
He looks upset. He's got, canonically, because you can read summaries of the Pokemon, it tells you about him.
Yeah.
Psyduck suffers from extreme migraines. So he's always grabbing his head and looking upset all the time.
Poor little
but then he evolves into Golduck, who seems to have found himself.
Yeah, but also he's less cute than Psyduck. A lot of the evolutions are less cute than their base forms, and that turns me away from them.
Yeah, There's
the one that I appreciate, though, is Butterfree, because he becomes even more adorable.
Yes, this is true. Yeah. I always like the ones that look tough cute, like that kind of Kirby cute, American Kirby cute.
Yeah,
like
Kirby.
Poliwhirl was always one for me.
Yeah.
He's a guy with a swirl on his tummy.
Yeah.
And he's got a little clenched fist and he looks all pissed off, but you're literally a fucking swirl with legs. I don't know.
He's my favorite to use in Pokemon Puzzle League on N64, just because as you get combos, they all call out during the combos. And so, like, you get a basic combo, and he's like, Poliwhirl! And then you get a big combo, he's like, Poliwhirl! and that's great. I love that.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is cute, Saturn?
What's that?
Our Patreon at patreon.com/RetroWarriors. It's so fucking cute.
I never expected that.
It's cuteness overload. There's so much cute stuff.
Is like talk about diarrhea shit.
Uncut talks about liquid diarrhea.
Yeah. So cute, Justin.
It's all perspective. Please give us money on the Patreon. We would like it very much. We also want to thank the following patrons for the money that they did give us.
Yeah.
Starting with Jordan Ish.
And no, I have no tomatoes. I have no tomatoes today.
Kai Ove Liang Var. It butchered that one. Yeah. It ate it. It ate the letters.
And Matthew Guerrero.
Mike Rotondo.
This is a lie, and I can't believe they're making me say a lie on the air. Riker looks way better without a beard.
Saturn, how could you say that?
I don't know. Why would they make me do that, Justin?
Nico.
And Matt Kovacs.
Platform Agnostic.
And Rick J.
All give us money, and they all also think Bulbasaur is the best Pokemon. So that's 11 of us so far. I mean, there's got to be more.
There's got to be.
That's 11 versus your 1. This is mathematically, it kind of all works out.
I question that one.
Anyway, we did it. We did the only Pokemon games and never have to do another Pokemon game.
Well, that's good because that was already too many Pokemons for me to learn, and I couldn't possibly learn 152nd.
I always think I know all 150, and then I'll be playing the game, and I'll be like, what the fuck is that thing?
Right.
I totally forgot that exists. This time around, it was Kangaskhan. I forgot that one exists.
Yeah, I always forget that one.
At all.
I also forgot there was a crab Pokemon. I forgot that there was that little antlion one, whatever that one is.
What? Antlion?
It's like a little antlion with a mushroom growing out of his back.
Oh, Paris. Turns into Parasect.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I forgot he existed.
Yeah.
Also, all the aggressively mean-looking ones, I always forget those exist.
Yeah. My daughter, I didn't even talk about it on the show proper, but my daughter, it's been exciting watching my daughter play through the game. And little things like running into Abra and his only move is teleport, so
Yeah.
he runs away and you just got to catch him cold with a Pokeball without attacking him.
Right.
And like she saw that Diglett turns into Doug Trio, which is just 3 Diglets together.
Yeah.
And her thinking that was bullshit.
Yeah, his evolution is just finding friends.
Yeah, just all the same kind of like things that I remember experiencing as a 10-year-old. She's 9 years old and experiencing them again, and it's been very heartwarming.
I always
see all
like
of
that that comic online. I don't remember where it was, but it was what Diglett and Duck Trio look like underground, and it's just like this
they're
giant
like beefy
buff body.
men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I subscribe to the Beefcake Doug Trio theory myself.
I'm on board with that.
I can imagine that one. Anyway, thank you for listening to the show. We'll be back next week, and as always,
let us cling together.